Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today. Today's discussion or today's webinar is going to be Pipe Networks, Effortless Design, Reporting, and Excel Integration. My name is Patrick Rennie. I'm an account manager here at SolidCAD. And with me today, I have Colin Gaudette, who is one of our technical consultants here. He will be taking you through today's webinar and will also facilitate any questions at the end of the session. Colin and I work to help Civil 3D users ease their day-to-day challenges with the use of our add-on tools, which help to alleviate redundant tasks and cut down on those hours of manual work. Now, just a quick housekeeping note at the top of the webinar here. If you do have any questions for either myself or Colin during the session, there is a little Q&A panel that you can select. So feel free to type your question in there. And we do have some time at the very end of this session to have those facilitate those questions. So for today's agenda, I will be starting by speaking briefly about SolidCAD and CTC, who we are and what we do. And then Colin is going to take over and show how pipe networks are currently edited in Civil 3D. And then finally, showing how much easier it is to do the same work in the CTC Sim project suite. So who's SolidCAD? SolidCAD has been your authorized Canadian reseller of Autodesk products for over 25 years. Today, we are the single largest Autodesk Platinum partner in Canada. We merged with Cancel in 2017 to form one nationwide operation and rebranded as SolidCAD, a Cancel company. As part of the Cancel group of companies, we've continued to help our clients with workflows and product solutions to keep them well ahead of the latest technological advancements in the industry, as well as improving your field to finish productivity. SolidCAD specializes in providing solutions for architecture, engineering, construction, civil infrastructure, manufacturing, and plant industries. So Colin and I are both on the SolidCAD's infrastructure team, and we offer a variety of different services, including training, consultation, as well as assessments and optimization improvements to ensure that you are getting the most out of your software investment, as well as trying to streamline your day-to-day work. We also frequently host webinars like this one to showcase the latest and greatest technology in the space to make sure that you're up to speed with what's happening in the industry. With respect to training, our training facilities and offices are located across the country from coast to coast. Given the current climate, we have transitioned all of our training engagements to being virtual. However, we do look forward to seeing you all in the classroom once it's appropriate. Our dedicated technical support team is also on standby and ready to assist you at any given moment in all time zones and also in both official languages. Which brings us to CTC software. CTC is at the forefront of advanced productivity tools and worldwide leaders in BIM technology. They're a member of the Autodesk Developer Network and have been making add-ons for the Revit and Civil 3D products since 2010. These tools are used by more than 40,000 users globally and in more than 75% of the top firms in the United States alone. SolidCAD is committed to providing our clients with industry-leading solutions such as CTC, and we're excited to show you how we can help you with your pipe network design. As I had mentioned, if there are any questions during Colin's presentation, please feel free to throw them in the Q&A chat, and we'll get to them at the end of the call. And with that, let's get started. I'll hand it over to Colin.
Thanks for that introduction, Pat. And if you tuned into some of our previous webcasts, you know that I like to look at the native tools with Civil 3D to provide somewhat of a baseline for what we're going to be comparing them against. In this way, we're going to take a look at the pipe networks and the native design reporting and kind of data manipulation tools that we currently have at our disposal. And with that, I think it's first kind of good to acknowledge that Civil 3D has done a very good job with pipe networks. Pipe networks are one of the only kind of purpose-built parts of Civil 3D. pipes are pipes and structures are structures, and you don't really use them for anything else. That's kind of how they're built. That being said, the data manipulation and kind of the design aspect of it leaves you a little bit wanting. There's a little bit of clumsy design or slow design as you kind of move through the iterations to make sure that your elevations sort of look nice. You can definitely drop in an entire pipe network and get your whole kind of horizontal layout very quickly. But as you get into the profile and as the slopes and elevations become very important, it does take a little bit more time to manipulate that portion of the Civil 3D pipe networks. They do contain a lot of data and a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but it's a little bit hard to access that. It's a little bit hard to edit that at all en masse. You're often left with having to manipulate that one piece at a time. And there are analysis options, but at the end of the day, that's a whole separate side of Civil 3D that's maybe a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. So we're going to look at some tools provided by CTC that are some of the flagship tools when it comes to their project suite. All of the pipe tools, being able to design via pipe run, so designing an entire length of pipes and structures all at once, and pull out some of that metadata a little bit more easily and access things on a more kind of at-mass basis. We can do this with Pipe Designer, editing our pipe runs en masse, and we can do this with Pipe Planner, being able to pull all of that metadata and have it right at our fingertips in an Excel-like interface. And these are two of the big ones that we're going to look at today. Now on top of that, we also have kind of the pipe data editing and manipulation that we can use. We've got Part Swapper that allows us to swap parts en masse, as the name would suggest. And in fact, notice that one's a lighter green color in the ribbon. That one's actually a free tool, so you don't even need to go and purchase anything or that to access this at-mass part swapper. But we also have other things like the part planner being able to access some of that metadata for renaming and things like that. And we also have part tagger, which allows us to access all of that metadata for the structures and pipes, and we can pick from different frames and grates and things like that, or manually code them in ourselves. But again, it gives access to all of that information at mass that you can write out to all of your pipe network objects. So let's see some of this in action. Let's flip over to Civil 3D and take a look at this subdivision. It's a small subdivision here, and for time's sake, we've gone in and we've placed a sanitary network in magenta and a storm network in blue. And we've even gone as far as to put the sanitary network that we're going to be working with in profile view. Now, I'm sure this has happened to you before. We toss our storm network or sanitary network into profile view, and the elevations are not what we expected. We've got stuff sinking pretty low down there with the sumps, and this seems to be related to a pipe. To get a little bit more view here on Street 3, which would be my little cul-de-sac, I'm just going to go into the profile view properties and extend out the base elevation within that profile view so we can kind of see some more. And with that, I can see that this is one of the pipes. Now, we can go and fix that. We can grab a structure, or we can go find the pipe in plan view and edit those things. But again, you're doing all of that stuff one by one, kind of manually with the native tools. Grabbing a structure, right click into the structure properties, take a look at the connecting inverts, try to figure out which one the pipe is. Now, it's the low invert we're looking for, so it's probably this one here. Change that invert to, or 333 maybe. Click OK. Now that's going to jump back up here, but then we have to go grab the next one. And that will just get us kind of in view. We'll go to Structure Properties again, grab this one here, and we'll go 332. Well, that doesn't work because 331 needs to flow into it. So we're forced to sort of edit all of this stuff manually. It can take some time. That brings us into the very first tool that I want to look at that's going to save you a ton of time. It's called Pipe Designer. And when I select Pipe Designer, I can select parts in Plan or Profile, and I'll keep them in Profile right now, but I can select the first one and the last one, and it'll select everything in between. I get to edit all of this stuff in an Excel-like interface. And I can adjust inverts and slopes and any which way that you'd like to design, it's possible to do it in here. Do I want to be editing the slopes of the pipe, which I have access to, which this should probably go up at a, not negative, it should be maybe a 0.5%. Well, I can take that and I can drag this down just like you would if you were in Excel, and you can apply that 0.5%. I'll hit apply to this and it's going to ripple out. Now, it looks like some of my drops are out of place, so I can go and play with the drops, and I can go and drag this down. Oops, it shouldn't be negative. Yes, it should. There we go. Depending on the direction that I'm going from low end to high end, and we can edit some of that. Now, this doesn't look great. We're running to cover issues. Maybe I just drop that first invert if I'm working at the low end right here. Or maybe I drop this slope to a 0.4%. We can edit all of that stuff in our interface, click apply, and it writes out to the actual pipe network itself, rippling through, holding the drops in each of the structures. This is Pipe Designer, and it is so much more powerful to deal with pipe runs. It's so visual to see them in your profile views just like that. Now, this one's a fairly small pipe run, but maybe we need to get a little bit more intricate up with Street 1, for example. Well, I can go Pipe Designer again and select both sides. It's going to grab everything in between, and then I'm free to edit all of this stuff again. Now I can rename my structures. If I know that these aren't structure 74, well, that's not right. It should be MH1. And maybe it's MH1A is how we differentiate from sanitary versus storm. Well, we can click and drag that down. 2A. And it's going to try and repeat these patterns just like Excel. I'm running into issues because I've got that A after the fact. If I took the A out, here we go. And it's going to write these all out quite nicely here. I can adjust my base invert. I can adjust this slope. I need this actually at 0.5 to match the road a little bit better. And again, it's going to ripple outwards. My invert, my outlet invert is actually 330, for example. When I click apply, it ripples this out across the entire network. And we're able to edit all of these things. If I didn't want to edit based off of inverts or sumps, I can adjust the behavior of these parts. So I can select over here for structures, I want to edit every single invert. And for the pipes, I don't want to edit the inverts, I would like to see the crowns. As I toggle some of these options here, it's going to update the information in the table for me. So let's click OK. This is drastically better than editing one by one. We're able to see how things match in together and how we can kind of integrate the design all together at once a little bit more efficiently. once we've completed the network design and the pipe layout, both in the horizontal layout and the vertical layout, we need to then convey that information to everyone else. So we need to be able to, I guess, for other designers, we can do that in the form of labels. But for anyone who's not using the design software, if we don't want to have to go and create a full, nice looking PDF to translate that information, a lot of the time we're doing that via Excel tables or different types of reports. Now, the issue with that is it's a little bit daunting to try and pull out some of the information out of these structures and pipes. If I were to zoom in here, I want to kind of tell what the inverts are and the slopes are of each of these pipes. Maybe I need to see that I'm meeting capacity for that area in the design. Or maybe I need to let designers know of a pipe schedule or produce a pipe schedule or sorry, a structure schedule. Well, the easiest way natively to go about doing that would be to select any one of these and jump into the network layout tools, and then maybe jump into the panorama or the vistas, as we call them. So we've got a vista here for structures and one for pipes. And for those of you who didn't know, this is the panorama, but each of the panels in the panorama, each of the tabs is actually called a vista. And in here, we're able to edit things one by one, and you can kind of see the full picture. But again, at the same time, this is a little slow. We're not able to edit things en masse. Sure, you can shift select a little bit here, but you don't get to edit things by shift selecting. So that's one way to do it, but again, it's leaving us a little bit kind of handcuffed. We're not able to edit things en masse and pull information out en masse for this pipe network that I want to show. Now, the next CTC tool that I want to show you does exactly that. We're able to pull out any type of information you could possibly want in this pipe network. And as I open this up, I guess it's worth noting, across this entire suite, there's nothing proprietary that's ever created. CTC and SolidCAD, we're offering new ways and more efficient ways to go and interact with the native components of Civil 3D. So if someone you see or someone you need to pass these designs on to doesn't have these suites of tools, it doesn't matter. They're still able to access everything that you've designed in the native functionalities. They just have to do it a lot slower because they don't have your more efficient productivity tools. With that kind of said though, let's open up Pipe Planner. This is the newest product or the piece of the Sim Project suite. And what this allows us to do is actually look at all of the pipes and structures in a given network in more of an Excel-like interface. And it allows us to build out in the middle here a table that we'd like to see of only the information that we'd like to see. Across the top corner, we're able to load in one or more of these pipe networks that we're reading directly from our drawing. Then I can take all of my structures and toss them in to the center. Now it's giving me the names, the descriptions, and I can edit these on the fly. I can say that this one is MH1. And then I can click and drag this down to reproduce all of these names. We get that same kind of similar functionality across this and Pipe Designer. Where Pipe Planner really differs though is we're able to build out custom schedules for structures or something like that. And it'll fit kind of all of the needs that you're looking for. Across the other side here, on the right side, we've got all of the pieces of information that we could possibly need for building out a manhole schedule or something like that. And all you have to do is, if I scroll back to the top here, I'd like a manhole schedule that shows me the insertion, the rim insertion elevation. So I'll take that and I'll push it over. It adds a column to the center. it adds another piece of information that in this case I can't edit because it's grayed out. Anything that's in white, I can absolutely edit, like the sump elevation, for example, as I push that out. Well, then maybe I also want to see some things to do with the pipes that are coming in and out of this. So maybe the pipe in, I'll grab this and pick the name, and I'll push that in. Maybe I also need the pipe in invert elevations. Same with the out. So we can start to build out an entire schedule for these manholes across the entire sanitary network. Let's put the invert elevations in here as well for the pipe out, and we can start to build all of this out and see the whole thing across here. Now, this may be a little bit daunting to look at all of the different types of information, but if we create it and we take the time to create something the first time around, we can actually save out a template of this up at the top. So what this will do is actually save out a template file for Pipe Planner, and I can call this a manhole schedule so that I'm able to load that back in later on. And you can see it's accessible right here. And then I'd get the same columns that I can mess around with. Now, right click is also your friend in here, where we're able to manipulate some of that data, inserting columns, moving columns, removing them, lots of different information that we can edit. When we click OK, it then writes that all back out to Civil 3D. Now, that's awesome that we can write back out to Civil 3D. And if I go into my Prospector tab, under Pipe Networks, we'll go into my Sanitary Proposed. We can see that we did, in fact, write that all out in the name column. Now, that's not what we were really talking about before, though. We need a way for non-Civil 3D users, so project engineers or project managers or whoever the case, to be able to review that structure schedule or that manhole schedule. And then we can then put that review and those comments back into Civil 3D. That's the type of thing that needs to happen a little bit more efficiently. And Pipe Planner can do kind of exactly that. This is the real power of it. It's not just editing pipe networks in here, it's edit and export. And if I jump back into Pipe Planner, we've still got our manhole schedule set up nicely. And we're able to actually save this out to an Excel file. And then that Excel file can be reviewed by your project engineers or whoever needs to. We simply select the destination location. So we'll take this manhole schedule. And we can either write out to an existing Excel spreadsheet, or we can create, an Excel sheet within the existing Excel spreadsheet, or we can create new sheets. In this case, I'll write back out to an existing one because I've already exported this once. And all of the structures are going to fall on the structures sheet. There we go. We'll check that off. All the structures will fall on the structures sheet. All of the pipes will fall on the pipes sheet. And you have access to decide where you want to start inputting all of this data across the board. So if I'm looking at this, it's going A1 is where I'm going to start putting the start of my data. Well, if I click the little ellipse, I actually get a preview of what that Excel spreadsheet's going to look like, or that specific sheet, the structures sheet. And I can see that A1 starts with ID, and then I can kind of write this out from there. So you can get a really good idea of where you need to format all of this stuff without even opening up the Excel spreadsheet prior to. No. When I click Export, it says, yes, this is going to update the sheet, then those changes cannot be undone. That's awesome. That's fine. It's going to open up the Excel spreadsheet, and I now get all of my headers with all of my structure information in this Excel spreadsheet. Then your project engineer can come in and maybe they need to lower a sump. Maybe they need to adjust names. STM oops, sorry, this is a sanitary network, pipe 1, and maybe we need to take that and drag that down. We can make all of those edits in here. We can then save this file and exit out of Pipe Planner. And Pipe Planner's got 2 tools. And for time's sake, I'm not going to go back and import this stuff. But we've got the edit and export pipe networks, and then we've got the import spreadsheets, where we're actually able to import those back in, those changes that a project engineer or someone has made, and it'll write that back out to our sanitary network in this scenario. Now, there's other scenarios that I may need to export pipe network information out for. Maybe I need to make sure that all of my pipes can handle the capacity required in the different areas of the site. So making sure that a 200 pipe over here can handle all of the sanitary flow from all of these houses. So what I'm able to do then, if I go back into Pipe Planner and switch to my pipes right here, I can start building out a whole bunch of stuff. And you've probably seen some form of Excel spreadsheet like this before. If I open this guy up, where we're specifying different legs of the sanitary network and the structures that connect them, and ultimately establishing a velocity of flow and a Q flow max in the pipe and things like that to make sure that those pipes can actually handle the flow that's going to be headed in them. We can export out to Excel and drop our pipe data in here and then reference it over into an Excel spreadsheet like this. Or with Pipe Planner, we could actually create all of this stuff directly in Pipe Planner. So remember I said right click is your friend. I'm able to insert a column to the right. Now it shows up as C1, but I can absolutely rename that. And maybe this is my VFlow Max. Well, that's not, VFlow Max isn't something that you pull out of the part properties. This is a formula based on the different pipe properties and the location and things like that. We can also input formulas into Pipe Planner because it's an Excel-like interface. So I can put equals, and you kind of get the point here. Now, I could spend time and build this out, but I've actually already done that. And this is the beauty of having these templates. We're actually able to just save, it's a PP file, a .pp file, which is exclusive for Pipe Planner. And we've actually gone and saved this out, the sanitary city design sheet. And we'd save these out typically on our network server or something like that, so that you can pull this into every single project. Now, I've pulled this one in, and you can see that I've got my incremental areas, I've got my expected max flow, and if I click on this, we've actually got an Excel formula in here across this whole thing. So we can actually do all of this determinations in here and adjust things as needed if things aren't working for our flow. There's a whole bunch of additional information I may not have mentioned with the pipes as well, from description to network, all the way down to hydraulic properties that we can pull out of those pipes, and some of the part data as well from how it was actually constructed in Part Builder. There's lots of different information that Pipe Planner can pull for us. So I'm just going to click OK, and we'll jump out of Pipe Planner. So Pipe Planner and Pipe Designer are the two main tools, the two flagship tools when it comes to parts for pipe networks and things like that. The other two tools that we've got in here are Parts Swapper and Parts Tagger. And I've alluded to these a couple times already, but if I take Parts Swapper and select a group of parts, noticing also I can do this within a pipe run. So if I type PI, enter, I'm actually able to come in here and select the first structure, select the last structure, and it'll grab everything in between. And when I select that, it's going to open up my dialog box and allow me to swap my parts en masse as well. I can pick the replacement structures and replacement pipes, but right now I've got 5 structures and 4 pipes. And in this scenario, maybe I need these, I only need 150 for my sanitary sewer up that direction. We did our analysis in Pipe Planner, and then we've established that we don't actually need that large of a pipe. So we can swap out all of those parts so that they reflect that change. That's the power of Part Swapper. And in fact, it's actually a lighter green color in the Sim Project suite, meaning that it actually sticks around after you've completed a free trial, and it's one of the free tools. The other options here are Parts Tagger. And again, we can select a number of these parts, and we're able to access more of the metadata that we were looking at inside of Pipe Planner. If I just select a couple there and click enter, we're able to look at all of the structures and pipes and some of the other specific data like frames and grates and covers and stuff like that for the 3 structures. So I can come in here and say that the grate on this is OPSD, whatever the case may be, and we can actually write that out to each one of those pipes, or sorry, structures in this scenario, to give it a little bit more meaning. We can do the same with pipes, just a little bit less with the association here. We still have access to all of our reference alignments and reference surfaces and things like that. And when we click OK, again, at mass, that writes that back out to the parts that we've selected within our pipe network. So at this point, I hope that these tools have kind of piqued your interest and you're interested in trying them out. And seeing how they fit into your workflow. I find that these pipe tools, more specifically than anything else, are able to just kind of plug and go. There's no real learning process behind them or anything like that. We're really just interacting with the native parts just in a more seamless fashion. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Pat and see if we've got any questions.
Thanks for the presentation, Colin. And thank you for attending this webinar. We look forward to seeing you at our future webinars in the next couple of months. And please consider following us on social media for the most up-to-date information on SolidCAD and what we have happening. Thanks again for your time, and we look forward to seeing you in the next session.